Alright, what's up guys? This is going to be my first YouTube video, and I'm deciding to make it because I had wanted to rec-spec my Righteous Fire Marauder and have him be actually pretty useful here in the new 1.2 Path of Exile patch. So, some of the big changes are the loss of resistance overall in the tree. What used to be elemental adaptation and what used to be positive fire resistance no longer is so. So what we do to combat that is actually get a bit more regeneration per second. So the old number that you had to regenerate, otherwise you would degenerate, was right around the 300-350 mark. Now, with the reduction in overall fire resistance, you have to be over 400. With my auras up, Grace, Purity of Fire, Vitality, I'm at 495, which makes this particular character pretty squishy, but we'll come back to that because there's different variations of this character that I like to use. And so this is my actual DPS gear of Righteous Fire. This is when I'm not farming, when instead I'm trying to do Dominus runs, when I'm playing a support character or DPS character with my friends. And the difference in gear is we changed up mostly everything but the shield and the weapon. So we have the same gems, right? Grace, Purity of Fire, Vitality, Reduced Mana. But on life and resistance gloves, we have move speed, life, and int. And this is where we put Righteous Fire, because like I said before, Righteous Fire is only a 4 link. That's all you need to do the DPS. We have a Comb's Heart, which dropped out of a Dry Woods monkey boss for me. Rings with dual life, a little bit of lightning damage. So now my leap slams proc elemental equilibrium on top of my Ice Nova. So basically, whether I'm hitting the mobs or they're hitting me, they're getting procced for negative fire resistance. It's very important to make sure you don't have fire damage on your gloves or rings or your amulets, because then elemental equilibrium would not work considering you're doing pure fire damage. And then dex, int, life, and a bit of lightning. So what's really important with this build is to get your resistances overcapped. And my fire is overcapped, and this is a non-optimized tree right now because it's still built up to have a lot of the resistance of that I needed to run the 2 Andivarius and all that kind of stuff. But I have over 6,000 life. My regeneration went up from 480 to 735. So you're getting half again as much regeneration as you were before. Nearly double. 2/3 over the amount that you were before. And that's, so if the area in which you're going to be degenerating is right around 400 life, give or take 20 or 30 points. So this is 200 or 300 more life per second back for free. And that's without using any potions, without using anything. So that's very, very handy. It increases your survivability to a large degree. And because Righteous Fire scales off of your maximum life, I do more damage as well. With an optimized tree, and this is just because I don't want to spend 20 regrets to rec-spec this tree right now, you would want to have 30 or above of each elemental resistance. That's over the cap that you have. So when you are cursed, you're not just getting one shot, right? And because Righteous Fire, you can't leech life back. You can only regenerate, and you're going to regenerate at the exact same rate all the time unless you're cursed with vulnerability or something like that. You want to be able to have as much consistency as possible. A more optimized tree would be something like this. Come out of the Marauder, come down, catch the life, regeneration, Warrior's Blood for more regen, more life, up through, more life, come out of Diamond Skin, and then this is the only positive fire resistance left in the tree. Go up through Templar, and this looks a little awkward at first, but there's actually a rhyme and a reason behind it. Come up through Templar, get the 1%, Discipline and Trading. Amplify is a huge increase both to your utility, in that you have the ability to burn in a larger area and area damage. It's very, very nice. Come out of Athleticism. The increase in buff actually does hurt you a little bit, but it actually hurts the enemies even a little more, so that's okay. Come up, get the increased effect of auras. This allows you to get another 1% on your maximum Purity of Fire. Sovereignty, which allows you to run 3 auras at once, Grace, Purity, Fire, and Vitality. Come down, get yourself a bit of chaos resistance, more life, and increased burning damage. Then we're going to come back down, go over here, get life regeneration, and life. Up here, elemental adaptation, life regeneration, get the whole scion wheel, then come down to the right. I decided to skip this cluster because 3, 3, 3, and 6 wasn't very good for me. I mean, life recovery from flasks, we're not using life flasks in this build. We actually have more juice to squeeze if we use fire flasks, so there's no need for that. This is still a very nice cluster over here. IR, and then Golem's Blood, life regeneration, all that kind of stuff. So we had also gotten 2 additional endurance charges, which if you are not using CO Duty and Immortal Call, because you have the options to use one or the other, you could be running around at 5 or 6 if you choose to help Oak and Merciless endurance charges, and you get an additional regeneration on top of the implicit tankiness. So this is the full 109 point build. This will get you to about level 87, 88, 89, 90, depending on what kind of passives, if you do have request, that type of stuff. And this is just about the optimized tree. If you had wanted to go down here and get Unwavering Stance as well, so that you cannot be stunned, since we already have Iron Reflexes, that 5% dodge isn't really going to help us. This is actually quite helpful. In a lot of maps, I've noticed, especially when I'm running a Doriani's Catalyst, that I do get stunned a lot, and I can get stun locked by a group of Roas and that type of stuff, and it's pretty annoying, right? Nobody really likes stunning in a character where you have to, you know, kill in melee range. And you can go down and get Bloodless, some additional life, because life equals damage, equals more regeneration, all that kind of stuff. Also, for 1 point, this is pretty nice. So the crit multi used to be at 150%, now they put it down to about 130 or so. So this takes it down. So basically when enemies crit against you, you might still get frozen or shocked or what have you, but you're not going to take some of the extra damage, which is very nice considering, like I said before, you don't have leech. You can't do anything but use pots and run away. And this is about the tree. In my mind, this is relatively optimized. There may be a few points here and there that are open for debate and open for discussion. If so, feel free to leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think. So for flasks, when I'm farming, I use the Divination Distillate for Magic Find. It's always nice to have a granite. There's a possibility that you could run 2 granites instead of the Divination Distillate if you were trying to just run this character as DPS instead of Magic Find. And then I run 3 rubies, because when I hit a ruby, my fire resistance goes up to 99%, which means all of that regen is going to be coming back. All 735.9 of it, or 99% of 735.9 is going to be coming back to me. That is about as much as some of the new flasks can provide you, right? But it's a passive regeneration, and you don't have to worry about it. So I run Curse Immunity, I run Bleed, I run another Bleed, and a Granite with increased armor. This allows you to tank through some mobs, you leap slam over some Roas, you have a fair amount of utility, and the build itself is still very, very viable. It's just not as easy as it was before. Prior to the patch of 1.2, you were able to get 3 or 4 additional fire resistance out of the tree with elemental adaptation in the start of the Marauder tree. What that allowed you to do is to regenerate more of your life passively and be more tanky to fire if you come across a exile or a big boss like the Crematorium boss that casts Firestorm nonstop. And so in that, the only required unique for this build is the Rise of the Phoenix. And subtracting the combs, I still have 5,000 life. This is still a reasonably priced build, but it's significantly more difficult to pull off now than it has been in the past. The second variation of this Righteous Fire character that I actually end up using the most after level 85 or so is to be a Magic Find. And what we have here is 72 quantity and 374 rarity, which for a solo character is a lot. And this is a solo character with 4,000 life and about 15 or 18,000 damage. Looking at our gear setup, we're running a 6-link Carcass Jack with Righteous Fire, Conk Effect, Quantity, Increased Burn, Rarity, and Increased Area of Effect. Only these 4 gems are actually going to affect Righteous Fire. These 2 are just pure flavor for actual farming. I have a 29% quantity Legacy Goldworm which I'd gotten as a race reward a few seasons ago. Halfway decent RCs, although these in my mind are inferior to a Sedima's Touch, which is a 23 or 24% quantity gloves, but it'd be very difficult to get 3 greens and a red, 3 greens and a red, a 1 green, 2 red, and a blue right there. It'd be very difficult to get that on the ES of Sedima, so I don't bother. The Doriani's is just a nice damage increase. Your leap slams are slower, obviously, than if you're wearing a right beak, and it's more expensive, so you have to try to determine whether the elemental damage is going to be worth it for you. For me, it is. And of course, the only mandatory unique for this build is the +8 maximum fire resistance Rise of the Phoenix shield. And then on your rings, I have 2 Andivarius, which -40 to all elemental resistances between the 2 rings is very tough to deal with. I deal with that a bit by using a very good Magic Find amulet. I have Vol Cyclone with Blood Magic, life gain on hit, and increased duration. What that allows me to do is it allows me to suck in a lot of blue packs and have a lot of mob control, or at the very minimum increase my clear speed in endgame maps. What I'm running on my boots is CODT, Enduring Cry, Temp Chains, and Ice Nova. So what Righteous Fire is a passive degeneration around you. And so since it's not an attack, like a Leap Slam is an attack, it will never proc Elemental Equilibrium. So when I have my Ice Nova goes off, even though it's just a level 3 Ice Nova, it could be level 1, it doesn't matter. That's going to reduce the enemy's resistance to fire and to lightning. I have a Curse, which reduces the additional resistance by 38%. So I could walk into a mob, get hit once for the 620 damage, which isn't too much of my health. Ice Nova will proc, and then I have the ability to cast the Ice Nova, which reduces the resistance, Curse, which reduces their resistance, and then you could burn down most of the mobs in the game. If you encounter a dual elemental resistance mob, resist fire and resists elemental, it's going to take a long time no matter what. It's just, there's not really any way to do it. Whenever you build any build around one particular element, you're going to struggle with some enemies. Just like pure physical builds, unless you have top-end DPS, is going to struggle against some monsters, like a blue endurance charge regeneration rock monster, for example. Either way, I had just wanted to update you guys, give you a bit of a look into what I was thinking of when I rec-spec'd my Marauder, and I hope that y'all liked it. This was my first YouTube video. Feel free to leave comments below. Subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.